something very interesting happened this year. CRY partnered with Philips and decided to investigate all comers between 14 and 35 all over the country. They ran a mobile screening program known as the Test My Heart tour, which was funded, or shall I say, which was basically sponsored and facilitated by Philips, who donated a large 20-ton trailer and equipped it with state-of-the-art Philips ECG and echocardiography machines. And these this trailer was actually manned by cardiac fellows, funded by Cardiac Risk in the Young, and by top-rated cardiac physiologists, also paid by Cardiac Risk in the Young. And the results were very interesting indeed. We screened people at 13 different sites, starting in Durham, the north of England, and ending in Kent. We looked at nearly 2,500 people, and we found that 1 in 140 people had a cardiac problem that may not necessarily cause death, but may cause problems in middle age. And therefore, checking these individuals may prevent such problems in the future. More worryingly, we found that 1 in 300 people who had no symptoms harbored a problem that could potentially cause sudden cardiac death. All of these people have now been placed in our clinics and are being looked after. And in fact, 2 or 3 have actually been cured of a condition that could have caused sudden cardiac death. So interesting were these findings that it has resulted in a new initiative, which will be facilitated by the group ICAP, whereby CRY will now offer screening to every single 14-year-old person in England and the southeast of, in London and in the southeast of England. And I think that this study, which will go over 5 years, following these people from the age of 14 to 19, will provide some very important information about the precise prevalence of conditions that cause sudden cardiac death, about whether we have false negatives. You could argue that some people get screened and we may find nothing, not because it's not there, it just may not be there at the time. So it allows us to follow this up. But more importantly, we are linked with Mary Shepherd, our cardiac pathologist, who will be performing, who will almost certainly perform most postmortems in young people that die in the London area, in southeast London. So we'll be able to compare deaths in individuals who were screened versus individuals who weren't screened, to actually identify the real impact of screening on preventing sudden cardiac death. And that brings me to our research. We continue to remain as prolific as possible, thanks to my fellows and all the other, and all of you raising funds. We are allowed to tell you about the magnitude of sudden cardiac death in young people in England and Wales. We're in a position to tell you about the conditions that cause sudden cardiac death in British athletes. We know about certain ECG changes that may deem an abnormality in young juvenile problems. Being Britain and being a cosmopolitan society, we're in a position to tell you that ethnicity affects the ECG, and the ECG in black athletes should be interpreted differently to ECGs in Caucasian individuals. And there's a lot more to come, and I won't elaborate at this point. But of course, none of this would be possible if it wasn't for the support of our followers, and I would really like to take this opportunity to thank all of our families that have relentlessly worked hard and raised funding for our cause. As a parent, I can only start to imagine the pain that some of you have gone through for the loss of your young children. And as a father, I don't think I can even start putting myself in a position to imagine the agony that you've gone through. And I don't believe to date that God would give me the strength to be the person I am if I was struck by this type of tragedy. So I admire your courage very much. I would also like to thank our staff who work extremely hard, the administrators, the cardiac fellows, the cardiac physiologists, without whom this would not be possible. It goes without saying that our chief executive is an amazing. I've only met 3 women like her. The one that I fear as much as I fear her is my wife. And the one that I used to fear was my mother. People always tell me that people always see Alison as my second wife, and I guess it's sort of true. She bosses me around like my actual wife does. But she's done a fantastic job, and the co-chief executive, Steve Cox, who's done an amazing job since he's come on board, and he's actually responsible for a lot of the screenings that we go to and all the data that we've generated. I'd like to finally thank all the MPs. Without you, I don't think that our cause would make headlines at national level. So thank you very much, and I hope you'll continue to promote us. Today really should be a moment of great celebration, and I guess it is a form of celebration, but it's only when one bumps into families that I've been dealing with for a while to realise the tragedies that they've faced and the bereavement that they're still going through, that I think we can call for a celebration. But the only time we can call for a full celebration is when our campaign has a massive impact on reducing the toll of sudden cardiac death in the young in the United Kingdom. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sanjay, very much indeed. I hope you'll feel that in there's a lot of hope. The 14-year-old screening programme, which starts in the southeast, right across the southeast in the early spring of next year, as a pilot programme, I think is going to blaze a real trail. And all those of you who've worked so hard to help raise money and to support the cause for so long, I hope will take a lot of comfort from that. Thank you very much indeed. That was super.